and welcome to my channel, The Jaded Baker, where in this series on my channel, we are going to be rating recipes. Find different recipes online, such as Tasty, on BuzzFeed, anything you can find online. Those recipes that always pop up in your feed or you see online, we're gonna put those to the test here on my channel in this series called Rating Recipes. So what I'm gonna do is on each recipe that I try, I'm gonna have 3 points that I'm going to judge the recipe on and actually rate it at the end of the video once I complete the actual recipe. The first point is, was the recipe easy to follow? Were the instructions clear? Were there things that I thought that could be better about the recipe? I'm gonna give my points on those and give it a rating of a scale of 1 to 5. Point number 2, we're gonna see if the product, the end result, actually even looked like the product and the end result in the video or the picture we see online in the recipe. And number 3, did the end result even taste good? Was the recipe worth it to make it in the end? After I go over those 3 points, I'm going to combine the score and give the overall recipe a rating. So you can decide for yourself, is the recipe even worth trying? So my first video in this channel is going to be a personal feat, and that is macarons. Macarons are something that I've wanted to make for a really long time, and they're actually pretty finicky dessert to make. So when I saw Tasty's recipe that is literally titled on YouTube, the most foolproof recipe to make macarons ever, I knew I had to try it and rate it because I wanted to see if I could actually make these things based on their claims in their video.
Macarons are one of the most popular but also most challenging desserts to get right. We spent many months and made dozens of batches in the pursuit of trying to find a recipe and some foolproof techniques to help you do it right the first time.
I'll have a video linked down below. I also wrote the recipe down here on a piece of paper. You can also print it. It does have a link in their video to the recipe if you want to also do that. But it has the macaron recipe, and then it also has the recipe for their buttercream. So I'm going to be doing both, but I'm going to heavily focus on the macarons because that's really the hardest part of this recipe. I'm going to be putting her recipe to the test right here, right now, to see if my macarons turn out anything like hers on the Tasty video. Okay, I just watched the first part of the video, and basically she's explaining what a macaron is even supposed to be. And in her explanation, it is supposed to be crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside and create a foot on the bottom of it. That makes the classic macaron. And in the beginning of this video, she starts out by saying your egg whites should be left at room temperature. So this recipe calls for 3 egg whites at room temperature. Okay, so I have my egg whites separated in this container, and then the next step should go straight into the dry ingredients. So I'm gonna get the bowl, we're gonna start on this. Okay, I just finished the dry ingredient portion. Really, very much so downplayed the situation of making sure that the almond flour, which she says in the video, making sure that it's very, very fine. She says you can even buy very fine almond flour and you still need to food process it and sift it. I had to food process this 3 times and I sifted it 3 times. It still looks slightly lumpy. I've never worked with almond flour before, so I never even knew the texture, but the texture is like granules. So I do see that. I think she could have elaborated more that that's a big portion of this because I'm assuming, and she does say in the video, that that's gonna affect the smoothness of the cookie. Okay, so now that the dry ingredients are done, I'm gonna move on to the wet ingredients, which includes the also ever very scary meringue. I'm gonna go ahead and put this aside and then go ahead and get the wet ingredients prepared. Okay, so basically in this portion of the video, she's putting her egg whites into a bowl and she's starting to beat them with a pinch of salt. So we're gonna go ahead and get those ready, and then as soon as it starts getting a little foamy, we're gonna go ahead and add the sugar until it turns into a meringue. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started because this might be one of the more difficult parts of this to make sure we get the stiff peaks that she has in the video. Put that down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get my sugar ready because as we slowly get the meringue going is when you're gonna add sugar. So here we go. I'm nervous about this part because I've never made a meringue before. So we're gonna do this together, okay? Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on, get this going, and when it starts foamy, which hers did, so I'm assuming mine will too, we'll slowly start adding in the sugar until we get fluffiness and stiff peaks. So I'm gonna keep testing it to make sure we get those stiff peaks. So here goes nothing. Okay, I just finished my meringue. It is frothy, it is white, it does have stiff peaks. I'm using my hand mixer, so that part is done. And even in the video, she puts it over her head to make sure that it's right, so I'm gonna do it. And we're correct. It is nice and frothy. It didn't fall on my head and have an embarrassing moment, so we're good on that part. So now let's get to the rest of the video. And then I'm gonna add a couple of drops of the gel food coloring. She does say in the video that gel's better than regular food coloring because it gives it a more vibrant color. Now here is the part that I've been dreading, which is the macaronage part. So let's get to the video. Okay, so she's adding a third of her dry ingredients that we already mixed earlier into this bowl. So she's doing it in a very specific way, which is macaronaging, which is kind of folding it in from the bottom, but very, very slowly and not too much at one time. Okay, so from watching that, basically we're gonna add very small amounts of this into this bowl, folding it in using the technique of macaronage with a spatula. Then we're gonna make sure it gets a wet sand texture of lava. Never seen lava before, but I have seen wet sand ribbons when you're at the beach. So I'm gonna use that texture as reference. Then what I'm gonna do is use her figure 8 method. It is getting a wet ribbon look, maybe lava, maybe if she's seen lava. Going to add the final third. Okay, so once this is all incorporated, I'm going to practice the figure 8. I'm gonna pick up some of the mixture. And I can totally make the figure 8, so I'm gonna stop right now. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there and then I'm gonna go on to the next part of the video. Okay, so now she's immediately going into piping. So I actually have a baking sheet with parchment paper ready to go. Okay, so since she went to piping, we're gonna go ahead and pipe. Before I started filming, I went ahead and got a piping bag with a bigger rounded tip. This color is just reminding me of Patrick from SpongeBob, like a melted Patrick star.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
Making a mess, don't have time to clean up the mess for the camera, so we're just gonna go ahead. One thing I will say, I wish she would have suggested some sort of template, like the Amazon mats that are on their website. If you want to buy the mat, I think there are ways you could probably make this even better. I'm not going to because I want to follow her recipe. You can even use a bottom of a shot glass to kind of go and circle around and make your own little stencil. People that are maybe wanting to be a little more uniform with their macarons, I think that would have been a really good suggestion to make. Okay, so enough talk. I'm gonna go ahead and pipe these out. I'm gonna do my best to make them as uniform as possible. Okay, so now she's very much elaborating on how important it is to drop the tray or slam the tray into the countertop because that's what's gonna give it the foot. And then after this, we're gonna have a long waiting period. So I'm gonna go ahead and slam the tray, leave it over here on the stove. I'm gonna do the hour just because I wanna make sure I have the best opportunity to make these things right the first try. I'm gonna let them sit and they should form a film. Okay, I think that is sufficient slamming. So I'm gonna put these over on the stove.
1 hour later.
Okay guys, it has been exactly 1 hour since these have rested. They definitely don't look like the ones in the Tasty video. These seem a little more puffy. There seem to be a lot more air bubbles. So that may be a mixing issue or something to do with the macaronage technique I used. So I am going to do the finger test.
Phrasing?
Or in the Tasty video, she put her finger across it and it didn't make an indent. So I'm going to test that right now. Okay, there definitely is not an indent. Okay, so these are going to go in the oven for 17 minutes. At 360 degrees. When they're done, I will show you guys what my end result macaron cookie turned out like. Okay, the macarons are in the oven. They don't have much longer. So we're gonna go ahead and make the buttercream, get that ready. So once the macarons come out, we can let them cool and then we can apply the buttercream frosting and then actually be able to see if I pull this off. is the moment we have all been waiting for. I have been waiting for, very anxiously waiting to see if these macarons are gonna come out. Fingers crossed they remotely are similar to the ones in the Tasty video. I mean, if I get this on the first try, I'm gonna be pretty stoked, I'm not gonna lie. I'm very happy. I am very excited about my macarons. They are nowhere near perfect, but they are so much better than I thought they would turn out. There are some that are a little bit gimp, but that's okay. These two have little cracks. This one has a little crack, but these, they turned out pretty darn cool, I'm not gonna lie. I do see some texture, which I'm pretty sure that is just the texture of the dry ingredients that we did. I don't think I was able to get them as perfect as I thought I would. I did the food processor and I sifted, so I'm not sure what else I could do. There are some air bubbles that I can see underneath the surface, so that's probably due to the meringue or some sort of technique that I was using in the macaronage, but overall, for the first try of a Tasties recipe and actually doing it exactly to the T, I'm pretty freaking excited about these. They may be a little overdone on the bottom. They do have more so of a brownish color, so that may just be the oven temperature. My oven may be running hot, but they're coming off of this great. Some of these don't have that uniformness, so I definitely would want to use the mat next time or draw my own template. But these three are the only ones that are cracked, so again, I'm really excited about this. I'm gonna go ahead and line these all up, see who has matches. Didn't even think about to count them to make sure if it's an even number. But if we have one that's extra, that's okay. It'll just be like an Oreo that you took apart. All right, and the final step of these macarons is I'm just gonna pipe them just like she does in the video. She recommends to just put a little dollop in the middle because you're gonna smush the cookies together. You don't want icing coming out. Put it right in the middle. Okay guys, and this is my finished macarons. First time out of the gate with Tasty's recipe. They definitely have room for improvement, a lot of room and improvement. But for the first try, I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud they look like macarons. Yes, I'm not a French pastry chef, but it looks pretty good. Okay, now that we have gone through the journey of making macarons together, now we are going to rate Tasty's recipe. Now the Tasty chef at the end of the video does say that you don't want to eat these cookies until 24 hours after you made them. So I will be eating one of these 24 hours from now and putting in a snippet of what I think and give the rating, and then put the overall rating at the end of this video. The first rating that I give it on a scale of 1 to 5, the point was the recipe easy to follow? Were the instructions clear? I would say definitely the instructions were very clear on what to do as far as the ingredients. This was a very guesswork recipe. While the ingredients were simple and what you were supposed to be doing, it was a lot of guesswork of when the meringue is ready, do you have stiff peaks? Are you able to form a figure 8? Does it look like wet sand? Does it look like freaking wet lava? Knowing that I followed exactly what was in the ingredients and doing my best, and it still did not turn out perfect, I'm actually going ahead and give it a 3. Number 2, does the end result, the end product, look like it does in the video? In my head and my dreams, yes, it does, but in reality, it does not. Very similar, not too far off, but it doesn't look like the end result. And that mostly is on my part. Could it have looked like hers? Absolutely. There was technique issues. So with this, I'm gonna give it a 3 also. And the final point is, do they taste good? You are supposed to wait 24 hours to eat these cookies. So I am gonna go ahead and wait because I wanna make sure I have the full experience, and I'll eat one and then I'll put the video snippet right here, right now.
The next day.
Okay guys, it has been 24 hours since I made these little pink beauties. Okay, so let's go ahead and try our macaron. That's a texture I've never had before. It does have a crunchy outside, a very soft, chewy inside. It is really good. It is sweet. Like, I'm not sure if I could eat another one of these because I'm getting that like tingly feeling on my teeth. This is itself with the Tasty recipe. This is delicious. This is something I've never had before. I've never had that crunch the chewiness, and then it like melts in your mouth. Completely melts. I can see why people like these, 100%. So, past habit though, I'm gonna give this little tasty macaron a 4. So that means the tasty video, the most foolproof macaron recipe ever to get it on your first try, got an overall rating of... Alright guys, this video was so much fun to make. I'm so glad I did it. I'm very proud of what I created, and I can't wait to make more videos like this. If you guys have any videos you want to see, or any popular videos that you want to see, if it's really true that that's easy to make, or if something's really hard and you want to see me make it, definitely leave a comment below here on the Jada Baker. And don't forget to like this video so I know that you guys enjoy this series on my channel called Rating Recipes. Also, please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any Jada Baker videos. And also, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram at @thatjadabaker, please do, because I'll post videos of these macarons so you can see them up close and personal, and any future creations that I try. Alright guys, that completes this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!